What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So with the Switch 2 poised to be the biggest launch we've seen for a console in gaming history next week, it's no wonder images of the system as well as different games are starting to appear online. But now things have gotten a bit more serious. It looks like an entire system has now leaked out with video and the whole thing to go over, as well as one, roadblock that's now presented itself. We'll go over that though here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Sony and their Days of Play sale that's now been confirmed, as well as PlayStation Plus titles that have been revealed a bit earlier than usual for June. And we also have a big release that's now been dated from Square Enix, as well as a Switch 2 version, and, well, now another one to add to the list for the game keycard. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button or the link in the description down below. And we're going to start today with more of those images at retail around the Switch 2 as they are arriving in warehouses and different retail stores. People are just taking pictures of them, different employees, I'm sure, at these places. So, for example, we can see this posted up. This is over on Nintendo Soup, who's sort of just put all these together on one page. Pretty easy to find then right here. So Mario Kart World, just stacks of the Switch 2 casing, which they've grown on me a bit more. I will say the fact that they're wraparound cover art, I think does help because the spines just look way better than the current Switch casing. We also have the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the Switch 2 edition, and just stacks of Switch 2 consoles. I mean, with the Mario Kart bundle, the regular $450 model, we already looked at the one where they were just kind of in a cage, but now they're just sort of up in the back room. And again, this is, to me, this is a little dicey to do if you're working at these places. I don't recommend taking pictures of these and putting them up online, but people still are doing that. It's just, if it's able to be traced back to your store, it can become a whole thing. So just, I guess, be careful with all of that, but still, it's interesting to see these now prepped, ready in store, and we're heading towards next week again. A massive launch starting midnight ahead of June 5th. Also, something else to look forward to next week is Summer Game Fest, where we should have a bunch of games getting announced, as well as dated, since GTA 6 is now into 2026, but it looks like they will have a special guest. You can see this is posted up over on their social media account. Don't miss it when Hideo Kojima takes the stage live at Summer Game Fest. This is next Friday, June 6th, okay? They will have the full live stream at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That should be a lot of fun just to see what they have, but of course, Hideo Kojima, Jeff Keighley, not surprising that he's at Jeff's event there. I'm curious what he'll have. My assumption is just going to be one of the last big pushes for Death Stranding 2, since it's out then, 3 or 4 weeks after this event takes place. Maybe some more footage for it, although I will say I think I'm good on all of that. I'm just ready to get my hands on Death Stranding 2. I don't really want to be spoiled for anything else at this. It's a game that I'm already sold on. I would kind of like to discover on my own at this point when it comes out again later on in June. But maybe he'll talk about OD. I doubt he's talking about Fizzant, so who knows? But there you go. Not shocking, I guess. Kojima will be at Jeff Keighley's event. Oh, and we have some good news here for Clair Obscur Expedition 33, as we did have another sales update. This we can see over there on their official account, where they say 33 days ago we released Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Since then, we've sold 3.3 million copies. Seriously, as of today, we couldn't make that. I mean, you could make it up. It could have been on the 31st, 32nd. It doesn't matter though. Okay, so basically after a month, 3.3 million copies have sold. So a resounding success for them, obviously. They've gone on record multiple times now in different interviews that, hey, even the budget's less than you'd expect. And now the thought process is, could this be a 10 million unit seller? Maybe I could see that. Which then goes, okay, what would they want to do next, since they have, I'm sure, more than enough funding to just do whatever they want? And it's, okay, do they tackle another type, like, do they do a strategy RPG as opposed to turn-based? Do they maybe have plans to take this same kind of battle formula and build on it and then do a different setting, a different tone? A lot of avenues there, but yeah, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, wildly successful here already after 1 month, more than 3 million copies sold. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the Nintendo Switch 2, which has leaked out early. In fact, it seems like there's multiple Switch systems out there right now, but we'll get to that in a moment, as we do have video evidence of at least one that's out there, and it has like a slight unboxing to it. So this started to make the rounds very quickly after it was posted up on Reddit and then on like Twitter X, And from there, it's found its way to a bunch of different forums as a person posted a YouTube short that is legitimately like 4 or 5 seconds of them showing the Switch 2 box on a table and then opening it up, showing that it's not one of those retail dummy boxes that you can walk into some stores and kind of pick up and look around. No, it has an actual unit inside of it. So this video here, again, very, very quick. Switch 2 box, open up, Switch 2 system. Okay, so, I mean, I guess there's the 2 Joy-Cons there that are kind of diagonal a bit. And we can see sort of the orange and blue accents to it and everything. And at this time, people are like, hey, let's do a bit more. Can we get more video on this thing? Well, the person has at least attempted to use the thing. Here's the problem, though. It does really need an update. So this was in reply to a person requesting more about this specific retail unit, saying Nintendo locked the Switch 2. It needs update to function. So I am waiting for June 5th to unlock it. They then follow up and say, hey, can you go ahead and do more of an unboxing? Which, to be honest, just an unboxing of the system would be enough for YouTube to, I'm sure, get a bunch of views and people be interested to see exactly how it's all laid out in the box there and everything, and I guess what you get. But to follow up here, Wario64, who replied to their own post about this, saying another person shared with me that they have a Nintendo Switch 2 as well. I have no permission to post pictures, but can share that when they try to boot a Switch 1 game, a message prompts, please connect to the internet and update your system. Needs update to boot a game. Okay, so out of the box, that update seems to be very, very important. So if you bypass, I guess, the initial update screen, you put a Switch 1 game in there, it just comes up. It says, hey, download this update. We already know that the update does carry the ability for the micro SD Express cards, which, again, not surprising. That was the same way with the Switch 1. You didn't update to use like the faster SD cards at that time as well. But in this case, you need the update for like core functionality of this thing. And that was the reason that was kind of pitched, with reviewers saying they weren't going to have the system until just about launch day. Well, you're not really going to do a lot. Although I guess you could at least take a look at the build quality, mess around with the Joy-Con controllers, smacking them onto the system, seeing how it's set up with tabletop mode. There are things you can do outside of just playing the device, but that is what like 90% of the coverage is really going to be about. How exactly does it play games? What's the user experience? So in a way, Nintendo has kind of circumvented the idea of one of these systems leaking out early and then just footage of a game being played, or even stuff really about backwards compatibility, even maybe just functionality with the UI, being shared early. So yeah, in one aspect, there is more control here for Nintendo, but on the other, you need internet to update this thing right out of the box. So I feel like now more than ever, most people would have access to that, but who knows, I guess, really. So if you buy the Switch 2, just be ready to update that thing day one. And maybe we'll see, I guess, from this person here, apparently just others, as the Switch 2 is starting to find its way outside of these retail spaces. And think about how many pictures we're seeing pop up. A lot of access to it right now. Some of those slipping through the cracks, I'm sure, at this point. So maybe we'll get more footage around the device itself, just comparison shots of it, I guess, maybe compared to the current Switch, and maybe even some pictures and video of what exactly it's doing right now when you do try to put a game in, and how much functionality there really is before that day one update. Next up, let's talk about Sony and their Days of Play sale, as they also went ahead and revealed a bunch of information around PlayStation Plus Essential, Extra, and premium games for the month of June. Now, the sale itself is basically what we already went over, where we have PlayStation 5 consoles with Black Ops 6 Call of Duty bundled in for $400 or $450, depending on if you want the digital or the disc-based unit. You also have a bunch of accessories like the DualSense controller, depending again on variation or the edition, say, with the different colors and stuff. Those are marked down pretty well. And then the PlayStation 5 Pro even seeing a markdown of $50. So yes, consoles for Sony are basically the cheapest on the market right now compared to their competitors. It's a temporary sale, keep in mind, for about 2 weeks or so, but if you've been holding out looking for a deal, it comes with Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and it's sitting out there at $400 to $450. based on what we're seeing right now with uncertain economic times, hard to say where things will be a couple months from now. This might actually be your best chance to get a system at a decent price then from Sony. Now, on top of that, we did have some information shared around games for PlayStation Plus. Now, they did share information earlier than usual, okay, for extra and premium, especially with those classic games, but we can see this posted up. This is over on their website detailing all the stuff with days of play. And we have at the top Essential, NBA 2K25, that's available June 3rd. Alone in the Dark, the 2024 version here, for PS5, available June 3rd. And then Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, PS5, PS4, available June 3rd. Destiny 2, The Final Shape, that is available today for PS5 and PS4. All right, so May 28th. A Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, if you've not played that, pretty cool game. It was kind of like the spiritual successor to like Jet Set Radio. So I recommend checking out, if anything, here in the Essential tier. Obviously claim it and stuff, but when I see months where they add in a sports game, I will say it feels less valuable in general for the lineup, because a lot of times they will use that as one of the big banner games. All right, and it's okay. We already know those depreciate very quickly, and we also know that while the NBA is going on right now, they are kind of getting towards the end of the playoffs and the season, so I guess in their mind, hey, this will bring eyeballs from the mainstream. Let's go ahead and time that up correctly with even the NBA Finals then at that point. Now, moving up to Extra and Premium, we have another Crab's Treasure that's available May 29th. We have Skull and Bones. Oh boy. June 2nd. Hey, you know what? If you've been looking at this, there it is. You can download, you can add it to your library, download it through Extra Premium, try it out. And if you don't like it, it's like, well, you know what? I didn't have to spend any upfront money, just it's part of my subscription. But that's June 2nd. Destiny 2 Legacy Collection, PS5 and PS4, available June 4th. I've looked around at Destiny a bit more. I thought about trying to get back into it, but the vaulting stuff that's happened, I'm not even sure what's in the Legacy Collection at this point, but maybe I'll give it a look. And then Grand Theft Auto 3, PS4 and PS5, that's available June 10th. As for the premium classics, we have Myst and Riven. Okay, those are PS5 and PS4 releases. Not bad. I mean, I played a little bit of Myst back in the day. That was about the extent of my experience for these games, but there you go. Just more premium classic titles being added in. Overall, not a bad month technically for it. Again, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, I guess for me, that's the big one out of the Essential tier to check out. And then there you go, Skull and Bones. Now, another Crab's Treasure is actually a pretty cool take on the Souls-like genre, where you do play as a crab at the bottom of the sea fighting all kinds of different sea creatures. I guess the final thing from all of this is that we did have confirmation around discount for PlayStation Plus, where it's up to 33% off. So if you've been looking to maybe get in at this point with extra premium or even just resub for your Essential tier, you can save some money there. But as of now, this will be going on until June 11th. So I guess take a look at some of the sales and go ahead and line some of that up if you're interested. Next up, let's talk about a game from Square Enix that has now been confirmed with its release date, and that's Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake. I enjoyed Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake. It was a very traditional take on the old school JRPG setup, which was fine. I liked that they at least stuck to the original formula as much as possible, and the newer visual style with HD 2D looked awesome. So naturally, I was looking forward to 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake. I just thought it might be out sooner than you can see here. October 30th. Yes, this is coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, Switch, PC, and Switch 2. So we do have the announcement now for specifically a Switch 2 version, October 30th for $59.99. The Switch 2 version, while it is newly announced, that is going to be a game key card, which is disappointing. And, well, we have the box art, which Wario64 did share up over on Twitter X, and you can see at the bottom, game key card, 17 gigabyte full game download. Yeah, that's continues to lean into the idea that there really are just two cartridges that are used right now, either a game key or a 64 gigabyte cartridge. You feel like even if there was a 16 gigabyte cart, they would have figured out a way to maybe get the file size down just under that so they can try to put it on a cheaper cartridge. But if it really is just 64 gigabytes, we know at this point how these third parties are going to roll. Most of the way they're going to look to use that game key card and save a bunch of money. And it's really unfortunate when you look at the Switch 1 cartridge, because it looks like that's going to be on the card itself. So yeah, just unfortunate stuff there. Now, I will say the Switch 2 version, I would assume, would have things like 60 FPS and a very sharp looking game. That was the thing to me that sort of separated the Switch version from the PS5 version. I ended up going with the PS5 version because it ran at a higher frame rate and it just looked really clean at 4K. And I spent most of the time playing it on the TV then. But the Switch 2, for the most part, covers both of those bases. Higher frame rate, not locked at 30-ish, and then 4K. It would make more sense to get it on the Switch 2 for the added convenience of handheld mode just in case. But I gotta say, the game keycard thing keeps throwing me off, especially a game like this that feels like a very traditional style game from Square. Also feels like a game that should be completely on the cartridge out of the box, and it's not. So, again, it's tough. It just catches me there right at the end. I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, wait, yeah, game key card. Well, hopefully later in this generation, the 64GB cartridges become more accepted, and Nintendo's plan to try to continue flooding the market with these cartridges when it comes to 64GB being more and more available and the prices go down works out, because I would like to see some of these games from Square Enix later on in the generation actually show up on the cartridge. But for now, it feels like I might as well go digital. But let me know your thoughts on the game keycard situation here, and if you are planning to pick up Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD2D Remake. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Nintendo teaming up with secondhand auction and resale sites to try to combat scalpers, which we've already seen Reddit go crazy trying to report different scalpers on places like eBay. And now, specifically in Japan, it looks like Nintendo wants to help out a bit here, we'll say. This we can see is posted up. This is over on Automaton Media, as they are quoting Nintendo's own announcement here, saying Nintendo's cooperating with 3 major Japanese online marketplaces, namely Mercari Inc., Line Yahoo Japan Corporation, and Rakuten Group Inc., to help prevent fraudulent scalping of its products, including the highly anticipated Nintendo Switch 2. According to the announcement made by Nintendo on May 27th, these platforms and their associated flea market web pages will be taking down listings that violate their terms of use, penalizing offenders, and establishing a collaborative system for sharing information. Moreover, Yahoo Auctions has announced that it will be prohibiting Switch 2 listings entirely for the time being, and even dealing out account suspensions. So some people were a little concerned, as like, whoa, hold on, they're actually coming in and just getting rid of reselling completely. What if I want to sell my Switch 2 down the line or something, and it just happens to be more expensive then, because we've seen prices fluctuate all over the place as it is. No, it seems more to be about people trying to pull the switcheroo or try to do the drop shipping technique where they don't have the system yet, but they're selling a guarantee for the system. So right now, as an example, you can't technically sell the Switch 2 with it being in your possession, all right? You have to say, hey, we're selling a pre-order of the Switch 2, so when we get it, we will then ship it to you, or we'll put your information in and the place will ship it to you, just outright, directly. We're just basically selling you the ticket. Seems like that's more what they're trying to get done here, is like, okay, let's get rid of some of those, what they call fraudulent listings. And I mean, that's what a lot of people on Reddit and other places have been fighting back against, is the idea of people being able to rush in, pre-order, buy these different sites out with bots, and so that obviously people who want to play the system aren't able to get it, and then mark it up heavily a month before the system even comes out. Now, we are much closer currently, but still, even after release, you're going to see the situation of, I'm sure, especially with the lottery system in Japan, where this is like central right now, is people are going to win the lottery and then post it immediately and say, hey, it's a guarantee for when I get the system. Basically, you have to have the system in hand at least. At least do that kind of legwork. Buy the system, have it, and then put it up on the site, and sure, yes, you can resell it at that point. But you can't drop ship it, and it looks like Nintendo is trying to work with a lot of these different secondhand resell sites to make sure that's the case. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, are you buying anything from the Sony Days of Play sale? 85% say no, 15% say yes. I feel like a lot of people, what they end up doing right now is maybe browsing some of the games, but from what I see on social media, a lot of people are like, I guess I'll re-up my subscription for 30 some odd percent off. I didn't see anyone go, oh, finally, it's time to get the PS5 Pro. I mean, it's $50 off, so it's $650. And that's the thing. While we have sales here for these different systems, they're still pretty expensive. I mean, it's still $450 for a PlayStation 5. Yes, with Call of Duty, but it's like, if you don't want Call of Duty, it's still a $450 system, or $400 digital. Way past the days of, wow, we're 4.5 years into the generation and this thing is like half off what it was at launch. we're technically getting back to the launch prices with the digital edition PS5 at $400. It's very different times now to where even these big sales don't really feel much like sales for hardware. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Mike, says the Battlefront 2 player increase is due to multiple factors. Star Wars Fortnite season and/or season 2, and the YouTuber Bombastic sent a call for all gamers to play Battlefront 2 for Memorial Weekend to get EA's attention in hopes for a Battlefront 3. Okay, well, so I technically downloaded through Game Pass. As Game Pass Ultimate has EA Play, Battlefront 2 is on there. I have not played Battlefront 2 in a long time. I mean, it's been like 5 or 6 years since I think I played it last. But I remember the whole thing where the loot boxes and those being tied specifically into gameplay mechanics. Things are much different now in general, as the live service stuff's kind of been at least relegated mostly to, hey, let's do all kinds of cosmetics and not necessarily touch the gameplay elements. So maybe Battlefront 3 could work now because, look, they're going to find ways to extract more money out of it outside of just the initial purchase price. But if it really is cosmetics and then you also still have free battle pass, the live service stuff, it is that give and take, right, when it comes to the corporation versus the consumer. But that was the biggest thing. These loot boxes, these surprise mechanics genuinely affect gameplay. So if it doesn't, I think most people at this time would probably be accepting of that, and maybe you could get a Battlefront 3. But I'm curious if even this got any attention from EA at all. It's hard to ignore when the player count rises that much. So you know what? I'll download it. I'll give it another look. It's been a while. At least take a trip back down memory lane for it. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe hear more about a Nintendo Direct apparently that's happening here in a couple of weeks. I guess to maybe set up the holiday of the Switch 2 and some of my thoughts around it. I'll leave that right below it. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.